The Fist of Heavens Hammer Hammerdin. We need to talk about it. This can't be our little secret. It's the Tribid Pally. For people who've seen it recently, there's been a lot of hype around the fact that Fist of Heavens is now actually competitive. It is not overpowered. I do not agree with the concept that it is overpowered in any way, shape, or form, but it's very powerful. The reason why it's so powerful is because it's going to shoot out holy bolts to every single undead and demon in the area. They pierce, they're going to do damage when they hit. Massive magic damage, right? Crap, though, was the idea that you needed to somehow max out this Fist of Heaven's lightning damage for PVM. And it just turns out you don't need to. The majority of the strength coming from Fist of Heavens is the fact that you're dumping out 5k magic holy bolts to every target within range. But the problem with it is that the build wasn't fast enough against non-demons and undead, so any humanoid or animal creatures out in the wild that aren't demon or undead can't get hit by it. The holy bolts don't do any damage, and the lightning damage, while you can stack it pretty high, especially with Conviction Aura, one-shotting individual monsters on low player count is not a competent way of playing the game. Typically, this is an 80 to 100 point build, because you need to max out Holy Bolt, and Fist of Heavens, and Holy Shock Aura, and Conviction Aura, and then the rest of your points get you down to all of the prereqs that you need. So it's around a 90 point build. It didn't really give you a lot of playroom, but people realized that if you don't focus on the lightning damage at all, you can actually make a hybrid of Fist of Heavens Smiter. So you'd put in the 40 points here into Fist of Heavens and Holy Bolt, then you would dump 20 points into Smite, you would dump 20 points into Fanaticism, and that at least helped to pick up your kill speed against boss mobs and tankier magic immune options. You would run something like an Astrian, so you'd get your +4 to combat skills, but also crushing blow chance. Now the problem with that was that while you increase your kill speed against bosses, you're still not as good as a Hammerdin, because a Hammerdin, especially on lower player count, pumps out like close to crushing blow damage speed with just using Blessed Hammer. You were now a Smiter and a Fist of Heaven, so you can run Chaos pretty quick, and if you're willing to get the Astrians or Holy Redeemer or any option that gave you crushing blow on the weapon and took a bit of a hit to FCR and plus skill to the rest of your abilities, you can make it work. But that wasn't good enough to me. The problem was that everybody kept coming back to is that Hammerdins were just better on high player count and against the fact that they could basically go anywhere except anywhere that actually had like really enclosed tight spaces. Fist of Heavens was kind of in this weird place where simultaneously people are saying it's literally too powerful, nerf it, and people are saying it's fine, but I'm not going to take it anywhere other than Chaos Sanctuary. And I sat and I thought, do I need to max Smite? Do I need to max Fanaticism? Do I need Conviction Aura? Do I need Infinity? I don't think I need any of that. I think I'll just do it all myself. Insert Thanos meme here. Fine. I'll do it myself. What if I told you that you can max Holy Bolt and max Blessed Hammer and max Fist of Heavens? Go 1 point Smite, 1 point Holy Shield, go down to 1 point Fanaticism. You max Blessed Aim as the first synergy for Blessed Hammer. You only put 1 point into Concentrate, and then you put your dumb points into Vigor. And what if I told you you could be a max magic damage Fist of Heavens build, a 40% damage Blessed Hammer build, which is still more than strong enough to wreck anything P1 to P5, and even on P8, it's pretty comparable to melee builds clearing out at that speed, but the fact that you can actually kill stuff now, and then you just take something ridiculous like a Last Witch and you put that on, and now when you get to Baal, you're the Smiter. Well, you get the Tribid Pally. It do Smite, it do Hammer, it do Fist of Heavens, it do everything. It does everything in the game. It does everything in the game that you want it to do. You just get all of your gear only for one Paladin, and finally, you never need to build another character ever again. First and foremost, the Fist of Heavens damage is 100% what it normally would be. We literally don't care about the lightning damage at all. The Blessed Hammer is missing about 27 points. So that's pretty big. When you're on your concentration aura and your blessed hammer, damage is about 7k, which is probably a bit of half to a little bit less than what it is on max build. Now, I'm not trying to argue that this is somehow equally as powerful as Blessed Hammer. On players 8, you do have to sit there a little bit to cast your Blessed Hammer, but the power doesn't really come from the fact that you're a bootleg Hammerdin. The power comes from the fact that you get to pre-cast your hammers so that when monsters spawn, like in waves, they are already getting hit while you are decimating them with Fist of Heavens. If we're looking at a P8 Baal run, which is what you're seeing, being able to precast the hammers helps to increase your Fist of Heavens damage even further, and then on top of that, your Fist of Heavens damage already hits everything that Baal spawns, including Wave 2, which is the biggest problem of the Blessed Hammer Paladin. He just sits there and he does bad Holy Bolt slowly, and that's a big problem. In areas where there are undead demons and also non-undead, non-demons, anything higher than players 5, sure, you're not going to see the Blessed Hammer damage output, but on anything 5 and below, it's very, very comparable. I'd say it's almost indistinguishable, especially on much lower player settings, like players 1 to 3. You are already triple overkilling every single target with your Blessed Hammers, so only having about 40% of the Blessed Hammer damage is still getting the job done. And then let's talk about the smite. So while, yes, I'm showing you a last wish, this absolutely does not need to be a last wish. On 1 point fanaticism, you do need a very fast base to still get decent attack speed. So anything with high chance of crushing blow and attack speed, or anything that you put into a phase blade, is more than good enough. I'd even say that while last wish is obviously great, the build that we have on our mercenary to complement this as well as we can actually gets hurt by last wish, because you will tend to apply life tap more than your mercenary will apply decrepify. And decrepify is something that will both increase your merc damage and also increase your crush. On top of that, let's talk about the mercenary himself. So I built him out as a boss killing mercenary that's augmenting the overwhelming damage that you have in AoE, since your single target damage is your weakest point. So I have him on Fortitude, G-Face, and then I have him using Grief, Lawbringer. The Lawbringer helps a ton in Chaos Sanctuary, everybody's going to tell you that, and it's true. The Sanctuary Aura is incredibly powerful because it's keeping everything at max range, so that everything gets kind of clumped up at the edge, so when you cast Fist of Heavens, you're getting the biggest explosion of Holy Bolts that you can. Grief is obviously there to give him any damage at all, so he is actually doing something, and also has survivability. G-Face for the crushing blow, and then Fortitude to help buff out the rest of his stats and obviously put some damage on it. You can also run Treachery here. He was getting wrecked a little bit too much by elemental effects with Treachery on if Fade didn't proc, but once Fade does proc, you're absolutely Gucci. I would say if you're relying on the Mercenary to apply Crushing Blow, Treachery is a much better option, because you actually need to give him some attack speed, especially if you're giving him something like Last Wish. He attacks like he's moving through hut fudge and molasses. On the character build here, we're running a very, very point for point. This is what you're going to see the vast majority of your basic Hammerdin gear. You actually don't need to swap out anything for facets. You don't need griffins. You don't need anything like that. And in fact, a lot of the pieces here can be upgraded even further. This is just very bland. So it's Hodo, Enigma, Spirit, Shaco, Maras, Arachnid Mesh, Stone of Jordan, and BK. If you're trying to kill Baal at the end of a run, I would recommend just popping one of these over onto a Ravenfrost so that you're not going to get slowed by him. Then obviously Mage Fist and Gore Riders or War Traps. Honestly, you don't need the Gore Riders at all. I was just messing around with making him more actively a Smiter, because we're trying to kill P8 Baal here. Everything else, combat skillers, obviously you're going to have less or more life depending on what you have. And then res and life across the top of it. This could all be magic find and life or magic find and res, depending on what the rest of your gear looks like. Unswap, call to arms in spirit. This part is really important. Keeping your merc alive is going to maximize your ability to crowd control. And I do think that on this build, being able to dump as many points as you can into dex so you get up to max block, and then maybe swapping out some points for energy. I noticed that we're having a little bit of trouble managing our mana, but we just shift-clicked Vitality after putting what we needed into Dex to hit max block. But Call to Arms really helps to kind of solve both of those problems. You just need to keep the buff up. I don't know why I'm explaining Call to Arms as if people don't know why this is good. You know why Call to Arms is good. So what does this mean for the build? Because I was already a major proponent of the fact that Fist of Heavens was already great, and it just needs to farm the places where it's good. You do need to make the argument, and I think it's very applicable, that the moment that you hit anything that wasn't demon or undead, even if you just skipped them, it felt bad. Like, gameplay-wise, it felt bad, and it felt bad needing to skip targets when the Blessed Hammer Paladin should be able to kill all of it. You were able to take the FoHdin into places where Blessed Hammer just isn't great. So Stony Tombs, Ancient Tunnels, much better in Arcane Sanctuary, in Tal Rasha's Tombs itself, which is still a place that you can farm even though it's not area level 85, just as an idea. Anywhere where it was more open and you were hitting targets like in Worldstone Keep where they just aren't undead or demons, it felt bad skipping them. So gaining access to this 40% power Blessed Hammer makes that experience so much better. It's nice to be able to clear the entire screen and not have to avoid really juicy boss packs. And then on top of that, the Smite build, 1 point Smite, 1 point Fanaticism shouldn't be that good. Before anybody argues with the fact that, like, they think FoHdin is too strong or we need to nerf stuff, 1 point Fanaticism, 1 point Smite shouldn't be this good, but it is. And honestly, you're just like a complete fool if you throw away those skill points and you don't spec into it, because being able to kill P8 Baal at the speed that we did is actually kind of nuts on any caster build that doesn't have access to static. And even then, P8 Baal on a sorceress feels like hot garbage. P8 Baal on Hammerdin feels like hot garbage. This was just like so clean and fast, where I didn't feel like I was penalizing myself for going in and farming them. If you're on an earlier game version, I think what you actually do is you swap the dynamic. I think you swap over to prioritizing Blessed Hammer and putting your dump points into Fist of Heavens and maxing out Holy Bolt, so you at least have that maximum Holy Bolt synergy. And I think as you get more gear, you're able to swap over and transition into Fist of Heavens as the primary and then Blessed Hammer as the secondary. Because obviously, Fist of Heavens isn't going to get you there if you're trying to kill stuff where there are no undead or demons, but Blessed Hammer will still get you there. So you're able to like level up like you normally would, and then once you're on plus 10 to plus 15 skills, I think you could swap over very effectively and get the benefits that we're, detailing here in this video onto your character. I know I'm not the only person who thought about this. I will say, I did not see this anywhere else, although Pilot from chat said that he already created this, and I fully believe him because Pilot would never lie to me. But I thought of this on my own. I didn't see anybody else checking it out, so I wanted to get it out to people because I do think it's going to be the strongest version of the Pally. But let me know what you think. I'd love to hear all of your opinions. What's the best options? How can we maximize it as much as possible? And thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.